The Galactic Council had 12,000 treaties, 3 sacred doctrines, and 1 golden rule: never let a species refuse peace. Then humanity showed up, declined everything, and smiled while the galaxy bled itself dry trying to understand why. They called him the Gentleman Anomaly. But Commander Vaer Kalen wasn't here to negotiate. He was here to bury empires, with a whisper, not a warhead. Commander Kalen, the Council awaits your response. Vaer Kalen folded the treaty carefully, tapped its corner against the table once, and looked up. The silence in the chamber thickened. 13 alien delegates stared, some blinking in alien patterns, others motionless. No one breathed. He set the treaty down. We decline, he said softly. The Zyrexian delegate, all bone-plated rage and antennae, slammed a claw into the steel table. You decline again? Vaer nodded. Respectfully. You declined the trade charter, the peace accords, the joint colonization compact. And now this? The delegate's voice crackled through a synthetic throat filter. Yes. Another delegate, the Varan Envoy, leaned forward, voice smoother. Do you understand what this means? Perfectly. This is the Stabilization Pact. Every species, every major power, has signed it. Earth's refusal places you at odds with the entire Council. That's an accurate assessment. A ripple of low voices surged around the chamber. Vaer waited. Calm, measured, unreadable. The silence returned like a wall. Chairwoman Isketh, a long-limbed Arash with 6 obsidian eyes, narrowed her gaze. Do you speak for Earth in full capacity? I do. Then we demand a reason. No, you don't. The room stiffened. Eyes widened. Vaer clasped his hands behind his back. Let me clarify. You may request an explanation, but demand implies power over the one you're addressing. You don't have that. You're surrounded by 60 systems worth of enforcement, Isketh replied coldly. I'm aware. And still you refuse to align with interstellar order? I refuse to participate in interstellar delusion, Vaer said. Gasps followed. He continued, his tone mild. You built a structure that feeds on obedience and calls it peace. You offer power, but only if we pretend not to notice where it came from. Earth will not trade autonomy for your version of civilization. You believe you can survive outside the system? Isketh asked. I don't believe anything, Vaer said. We know. A holographic display flickered on without permission. That alone sent shudders through the chamber. Earth's ambassadorial tech wasn't supposed to override Council systems. Yet there it was. The seal of the Titan V relay burned into the air above the table. It showed systems, trade routes, economic dependencies. Red dots marked every major instability across the Council's space in the past 6 months. Dozens. These are statistical anomalies, the Varan Envoy said immediately. No, Vaer said. They're warnings. What you call peace is cracking. Your treaties are failing not because of human interference but because they were never sustainable. Earth just refused to play pretend. The Zyrexian delegate snarled. So you sabotage us? Not at all, Vaer said. We simply opted out. The fractures you're experiencing? They were always there. Our refusal didn't cause them. It exposed them. Dangerous rhetoric, Isketh hissed. You offer provocations instead of cooperation. Incorrect. I offer clarity. You don't like the terms. That's fine. But don't confuse disagreement with threat. You made that mistake before. With others. They vanished. Another silence. Tighter this time. Isketh straightened. We will reconvene in 48 cycles. If your position remains, we will consider sanctions. I expected that. And how will Earth respond to sanctions? That depends, Vaer said. Will they be honest ones? She blinked. What does that mean? If you call them trade restrictions, but they're actually blockades? If you pretend enforcement fleets are peacekeepers? If you sabotage our communications and call it diplomatic recalibration? Vaer leaned in, voice lower. Then Earth will respond in kind. And unlike you, we don't confuse silence with weakness. You threaten war. No, he said. I describe consequences. The only threat here is your disbelief that we mean what we say. Iskith paused. Why attend these summits then? If you reject everything, why keep showing up? To be visible. To listen. To let the galaxy watch us say no to systems we find broken. Visibility isn't approval. The Zyrexian bared serrated mandibles. You believe you're better. No. I believe we're free. That line hit harder than anything else. Even the air felt charged. No one spoke. Then Veer turned to leave. Unless there's anything further? There wasn't. Outside the chamber, his assistant, a quietly efficient AI construct housed in a humanoid shell, walked beside him. They were close to breaking, it said. They expected threats or begging. Not elegance. I wasn't aiming for elegance. Then what? Dissonance. They expect escalation. Earth gives rejection. It confuses them. They mistake noise for control. And the next step? Let them panic. You want them unstable. No. I want them honest. The assistant paused. They'll assume this is phase 1 of a long-term strategy. They're right, Veer said. But they don't know which one. He stopped before the exit port and looked out. The relay Titan V hovered in orbit. A structure of black steel and reflected stars. It didn't flash. Didn't glow. It simply floated, watching. You think they'll declare us rogue? The assistant asked. They can't afford to. Because they fear Earth? No, he said. Because they fear their people asking why Earth keeps saying no, and keeps surviving. A pause. They'll ask, what does Earth know that we don't? Another pause. And that question, Veer said, stepping into the docking corridor, is the beginning of their end. Your little performance cost us 6 colonies. The Varan envoy snapped, slamming a clawed finger on the glowing table. Veer Kalin didn't blink. I haven't moved from this chair in 3 days. Exactly, Iskith growled. And in that time, the Glavan rebellion ignited. Half of the trade ring collapsed. 72 million dead. And your name is now etched into every riot chant. That's unfortunate, Veer replied. Though predictable. You leaked a classified treaty, the Zyrexian delegate roared. I disseminated a public document. You labeled it classified after I shared it. That's not protection. That's embarrassment. You exposed core council infrastructure to a dozen minor species, Iskith said. I exposed your hypocrisy. The treaty wasn't for unity. It was control rebranded as order. It offered peace by ensuring silence. That kind of peace always fails. Do you understand the consequences? Varan hissed. Yes, Veer said. I understand them better than you do. The silence pressed again. Iskith's black eyes shimmered. You're forcing destabilization. No, Veer said. You built instability into the bones of your empire. Earth just stopped holding it together. You have 2 options, Iskith said. Renounce the leak and sign the treaty, or be declared an adversarial force. I don't accept your definitions, Veer said calmly. This is not a negotiation. It never was, Veer said. Earth was invited to sign away its sovereignty. We declined. You labeled that hostility. You could have walked away quietly. I tried, Veer said. For 2 years. You mistook silence for consent. The delegates shifted uneasily. Someone whispered a phrase in an alien tongue, translated on the room's AI feed as cultural contagion. Veer leaned forward. There's no virus. No weapon. Just the truth. Your species read the same words we did. And when they saw what you intended to do with them, they tore themselves apart. You didn't lose control because of humans. You lost it because they realized who was really holding the leash. Iskith clenched her jaw. We will issue containment protocols. That will hasten collapse. You overestimate your influence. No, Veer said. I overestimated your ability to adapt. A light flickered above the chamber. A council security officer entered, hesitating. What is it? Iskith asked. There's been a breach in the quorum relay. Emergency channel. Wide broadcast. Block it, Varan barked. We can't. The chamber lights dimmed. A hologram replaced them, projecting Earth's Titan V relay broadcasting system. The voice was unmistakable. Calm. Precise. Vair's voice. This is Commander Vair Kalen of Earth. As of this moment, humanity officially withdraws from all Council-mediated negotiations. We do not recognize the Stabilization Pact or any coercive unification constructs proposed therein. Gasps. Eyes turned to Vair in the flesh. He was still seated, quiet, hands folded. This is an act of ideological sovereignty. The broadcast continued. No fleets will move. No threats will be issued. We simply decline further participation in your fabricated consensus. Cut the feed, Iskith shouted. It's not coming from outside, the officer said slowly. It's looped through Council satellites. The entire galaxy is seeing this. The voice continued. You may call this sabotage. You may call it sedition. But in truth, it is a mirror. Look into it, and decide what you are without us pretending to agree. The projection vanished. Lights returned. You've declared war, Iskith said. No, Vair said. You'll do that yourselves. I'll be watching. Remove him, the Zyrexian ordered. The guards approached. Vair rose, calmly, unfazed. One guard hesitated. Something wrong? Iskith snapped. The guard looked at Vair. Protocol override. My command link was severed. I no longer take orders from this chamber. What? Varan barked. Vair turned, nodding once. The other guards froze. Then slowly, they stepped aside. I believe the term, Vair said, walking to the exit, is non-compliance. As the doors opened, Iskith called out. You think you've won something? No, Vair said. You lost something. The illusion. He disappeared through the door. A ripple of alerts cascaded through Council comms. Colonies in the Denar Belt declared independence. Fringe systems blocked treaty updates. Internal documents leaked. Factions within factions fractured like glass under pressure. Back on Titan V, Vair entered a control room, nodding at the operators. Status? He asked. 14 more system-wide refusals. 8 relay points now fully decentralized. The Council's authority index is plummeting. Civilian reactions? Mixed. Most are cheering. And the Council? Scrambling. Vair walked to the viewport. Good. Let's give them something real to fear. Initiate passive cultural cascade. Acknowledged. He watched the stars. They thought treaties were chains, he said. We made refusal a weapon. Behind him, the galaxy cracked open. Send in the team. The command came from Iskith herself. Her voice didn't rise. It didn't need to. She had never issued that order before. Everyone at the Council knew what it meant. No debate. No delay. 12 minutes later, 6 bodies moved through the docking shaft of Astrius Prime. No insignias. No visible rank. No names. Every species represented, clawed, scaled, telepathic, fluid-skinned. Each one trained to kill without hesitation. They had executed insurgents, assassinated tyrants, dismantled terrorist cells. No one walked away from a black cell deployment. Except Vair Kalen wasn't walking away. He was waiting. The door sealed behind them. The chamber fell silent. I was wondering how long it would take, Vair said, seated alone at the center of the neutral arbitration room. His voice echoed faintly. None of them spoke. They didn't need to. The instruction was simple: eliminate the threat quietly, cleanly. No broadcast. No evidence. The Talon warrior moved first, lightning fast. A blur of motion toward Vair's spine. But Vair shifted 1 inch to the right. The warrior missed. That inch was planned? The talon stumbled into the blade of the Threnic assassin beside him. Not accidental. Vaer had counted the spacing of their formations before they reached him. The Threnic flinched, hesitated. Briefly. That was enough. You were trained for threats, Vaer said. Not for contradictions. The Zyrexian bellowed and lunged. Vaer ducked, grabbed the edge of the table, and shifted it into the Zyrexian's path. Clumsy. Predictable. The creature crashed into it with a snarl. A blast from the Araxan's neural disruptor lit the air. The Zyrexian took the shot in the back. He fell, convulsing. Vaer stepped around the twitching body, not flinching. 3 left, he said calmly. The psychic tried to invade his mind. Her eyes glowed. Vaer turned toward her, just slightly, and spoke. I'm already inside yours. Her scream was sharp, high, fractured. She dropped to her knees, clutching her head. Blood seeped from her nose. Vaer had been trained in counter-telepathy. Earth's diplomats were built for this age, where thought was weaponized, and silence was stronger than steel. The final 2 paused. Not because they were scared. Because they couldn't calculate what he was. Vaer looked at both. You were told I was a diplomat, he said. You were told wrong. The Araxan raised his weapon again. Vaer met his eyes and said one word in an ancient Araxan dialect. The weapon dropped from the assassin's hand. He turned, shot the final operative in the throat, and sat on the floor beside the table, silent. Vaer picked up the weapon, examined it, then tossed it aside. The door slid open. Iska stood on the other side, flanked by guards. She didn't speak at first. She only looked. Blood on the walls? 6 bodies, 5 dead, 1 broken. You set them up, she said. No, Vaer replied. You did that yourself. I only refused to cooperate. You manipulated them. I exposed them. Iska stared at the carnage. They were the best. They were predictable. Vaer corrected. All your systems are. You can't see beyond the methods you designed. You're not a soldier. No, Vaer said. I'm worse. She stepped into the room. You won't walk out of here. You can try again, Vaer said, wiping his hands with a white cloth. But your council just watched 6 legends die without me lifting a weapon. You've committed murder. I defended myself against an illegal assassination team on neutral ground, Vaer said. Or do we no longer care about optics? She didn't respond. Vaer dropped the blood-stained cloth onto the floor beside a body. You asked for war, she said quietly. No, Vaer replied. You asked for obedience. I gave you rejection. What you do with that is your choice. You've pushed us to the edge. No, Vaer said. I reminded you it exists. She looked away, then back. You want us to fall. I want you to change, he said. But failing that, collapse is the next best teacher. Your Earth will be alone. That's what you fear most, isn't it? That we won't be. That others will follow. Silence stretched. Council systems are already in revolt, Vaer continued. Planets have cut ties. Fleet captains are ignoring orders. Your people are asking why Earth says no and survives. And what will they find? The truth, he said. And the courage to say it themselves. She turned to leave. You've chosen your path. No, Vaer said. I chose not to follow yours. As the doors closed behind her, the lights flickered. The room reset. Vaer stood alone again, brushing dust from his sleeve. Somewhere above, in the Council's core data ring, Earth's passive AI nodes activated their next protocol. Not a weapon. A broadcast. Every citizen in Council space would soon hear the words. We refused not because we were afraid. We refused because we remembered who we were before we were told to forget. By the time Vaer left Astrius Prime, hundreds of worlds were already repeating it. War it is, Chairwoman Iskith declared, voice hollow, eyes fixed on the burnt footage of her failed elite unit. Her words were less a declaration and more a resignation. Every system heard it. Every fleet. The illusion of control crumbled the moment the Council admitted they'd lost it. On board the Earth Relay Armada, Commander Vair Kalin stood with his hands behind his back, surrounded by quiet chaos. Notifications came in faster than any AI could filter. 13 Council systems had declared military readiness. 8 mobilized fleets. 3 had already begun blockades on neutral trade stations. Earth had not yet launched a single missile. Initial projections suggest an 18% loss in fringe trade capacity, said the analyst behind him. Let it burn, Thayer replied. The command deck fell silent. Prepare the Widow fleets, he said. Stage them in 3 vectors, low-orbit harassments only. No direct contact unless provoked. They will provoke, someone said. That's the point, Thayer replied. Within hours, Earth's Widow fleets emerged, black ships piloted by the bitter, the broken, the unforgiven. Men and women who'd lost homes, families, peace. The Council never acknowledged them. They were never supposed to survive. But they had, and now they came back singing. Each fleet broadcasted war poetry in dozens of dead Council languages, every verse a condemnation wrapped in artistry. A mother on one ship recited names of children the Council said had never existed. Another vessel pulsed images of destroyed human colonies, time-stamped, catalogued, denied by official record. No shots fired. Just memory. Council outposts panicked. Firing started from the other side first. Widow fleets retaliated, fast and brutal. No hesitation. No warnings. Within 32 hours, 17 outposts were dark. Earth hadn't sent orders. Those fleets acted on protocol born of silence. 3 fleets are gone, the Admiral reported. They knew the cost, Thayer said. And now the Council calls it terrorism. No. It's grief. Weaponized. Iskith appeared across all Council frequencies. Humanity has violated every code of civilized warfare. They use memory as poison, emotion as strategy. They responded on an open channel. And you use obedience as a leash. We simply cut it. The Council deployed 72 capital ships to neutral sectors. Earth responded with nothing. Not because it couldn't, but because it didn't need to. 3 days later, Project Mnemosyne activated. It didn't strike with bullets. It struck with questions. Across Council networks, automated messages appeared. Who wrote the first treaty clause in blood? What were you promised in exchange for silence? Do you remember when your voice mattered? These weren't random hacks. They were linguistically tailored to each species, targeting dormant cultural trauma buried under centuries of imposed order. The messages repeated, mutated, spread like wildfire. Entire crews abandoned their posts. A Varan cruiser self-scuttled after its officers began debating loyalty. They didn't trust their leaders. They didn't trust each other. Mnemosyne didn't create disloyalty. It amplified existing fractures. Iskith screamed into private channels, demanding countermeasures, counter-broadcasts, mind silencers, neural dampeners. Nothing worked. You've turned language into a virus. She spat. We didn't invent shame, Thayer said. We just gave it a microphone. You could have negotiated. You could have reasoned. You don't negotiate with chains, Thayer said. You break them. In desperation, the Council pulled back, regrouped, and prepared for a counterstrike. They assembled the largest unified force in 9 centuries. Thayer watched them consolidate with clinical calm. Let them come, he said. We'll greet them. The fleet launched toward Sol. 2 days into transit, they discovered Sol was empty. No Earth. No blue planet. No moon. No satellites. Just a dead beacon playing a single looped phrase. We told you. You never knew where we were. Earth had never been there. Not for decades. There appeared again, this time not in person, not live, but recorded across every feed, every species, every time zone. You thought you were chasing rebels. You were chasing a myth. Earth is not a place. It's a decision. We learned your system, studied it, dismantled it piece by piece, not with weapons, but with knowledge, memory, clarity. You mistook silence for absence. You mistook patience for permission. You mistook grief for weakness. He paused. We are still here. Everywhere. And now, you're the ones isolated. Back on Astrius Prime, Chairwoman Iska stood alone, surrounded by disconnected consoles. Most council systems had gone dark. Others now pulsed with human frequencies, education feeds, open forums, archive leaks. It wasn't occupation. It was exposure. You never declared war, she whispered. No, came Vare's final message. You did. We just didn't stop you. The feed cut. That night, on hundreds of worlds, alien civilians didn't riot. They listened. They watched the stars. And some whispered what had become a new, forbidden phrase. We refused. And we survived. Are we ready? Vare asked, voice low but steady. Final activation in 30 seconds, replied the operator beside him. All broadcast vectors aligned. The protocol is armed. Across the fractured council territories, fleets repositioned, systems scrambled, delegates issued demands none could enforce. The great machine had broken. All that remained was to show them what it looked like up close. Launch it. The signal burst outward in every direction from Earth's hidden Dyson fragment fleet, invisible to any known detection method, concealed in the folded space sector. Not a weapon in the traditional sense. No kinetic force. No detonation. No burning planets. Just information, layered, coded, intimate. The protocol of rejection struck like thunder in a vacuum. On the council world of Tizen, automated factories halted mid-production as their operating systems encountered recursive loyalty errors. Workers paused, stunned by flashes of history they had never been permitted to remember. Treaty clauses. Lost languages. Suppressed decisions rewritten and broadcast as truth. On Varan Prime, students rioted in silence. Not from anger, but confusion. Everything they had believed about the Council's unity, shattered by a simple stream of facts. Earth hadn't attacked. Earth had unmasked. And that was far more dangerous. On Zyrex 3, two warships turned their cannons toward each other, commanders accusing one another of complicity in a lie neither fully understood until the protocol showed them, side by side, word by word. Reports coming in. The analyst confirmed. Mass cultural collapse. 17 governments offline. 43 broadcasting internal dissent. 2 fleets have returned to port. Council command is unresponsive. They'll try to spin it, Vare said. Let them. They'll speak, and their people won't hear them anymore. He watched the chaos unfold through transparent data overlays. It wasn't a victory. Not in the old sense. It wasn't conquest or subjugation. It was a mirror, angled just right. Chairwoman Iskatha's emergency broadcast lit up without warning. Her face was drawn, voice ragged, but she still tried. To the citizens of the Council, do not trust the human narrative. This attack is not truth, it is coercion through confusion. We must remain united. The feed glitched. We offer peace. We always have. Do not be misled. It cut again. Earth has lied. Earth. The line ended in static. In that moment, Vare spoke through every open channel. You've seen the records. You've heard their denials. Ask yourselves, how many times have they rewritten what you lived? How many truths did they erase while demanding obedience? We didn't come to lead you. We didn't come to liberate. We came to say no. And in saying no, we remembered who we are. He paused. You can too. The message was unadorned, untouched by propaganda. It didn't call for rebellion. It didn't direct violence. It simply opened the door. On Astrius Prime, Iskath walked the vacant council hall. Most of the delegates had fled or gone silent. The rest had turned on each other. She passed the broken body of the Zyrexian representative slumped in a chair, his own security detail having executed him for suspected collaboration with Earth. She found Vare already standing in the center of the rotunda. How did you get in? She asked. You were too busy collapsing to notice. You destroyed everything. No, he said. We stopped pretending it worked. She stared at him with hollow fury. You think they'll thank you for this? I don't expect gratitude. They'll tear themselves apart. Maybe. Maybe not. She shook her head. There's nothing left to govern. No peace to rebuild. Then build something better, he said. You act like you're not responsible. I'm responsible for the truth. What they do with it isn't mine to control. You use silence as a blade. Refusal as a bludgeon. You pretended to be patient, but you were just sharpening the edge. I offered you an out, Thayer said. You turned it into a coffin. She stood still, breathing heavy. What now? Thayer looked around the empty hall. Now you live with it. He walked past her, toward the exit. You'll never be forgiven, she called after him. I'm not asking. Outside, the light was shifting. Dozens of ships hovered in orbit above Astrius Prime, but none bore Council colors. Independent banners. Civilian fleets. Pirate flags scrubbed clean of crime. It was no longer the galaxy the Council had ruled. Earth hadn't replaced them. It had shown everyone how to exist without them. On the final day of Council rule, the phrase that echoed wasn't one of vengeance or glory. It was simple, repeated on world after world by those who had chosen to open their eyes. We refuse. Thayer Kalin boarded the last shuttle from the surface without ceremony. In the silence of space, as the station fell into darkness, a quiet voice on a civilian frequency whispered. Thank you? He didn't answer. He didn't need to.